They told everyone I just wasn't cut out for college. They said I gave up. They said I cracked under pressure. No one ever asked me. No one waited for my version. They rewrote my story before I had a chance to live it. It wasn't failure. It was something else. Something colder. Something darker. Something intentional. At first, I thought it was just bad luck. A system glitch. Maybe a missed deadline I never noticed. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that. It was quiet, too quiet. Like the silence before a thunderstorm. Like the way people glance at you, then look away just as fast. Have you ever been erased while standing right there in the room? I have. There was a time I thought I was broken, too sensitive, too idealistic, too naive to understand how the world works. But now I know better. Because the truth has a strange way of surfacing, even when someone buries it deep. Even when someone close to you, someone you trust, locks it in a drawer and prays you never look inside. I wasn't rejected. I was accepted. They just didn't want me to know. My name is Erin Carter. I'm 19 years old. I live in Dayton, Ohio. And this is the story of how someone I loved kept the biggest opportunity of my life hidden from me, until the truth found its own way out, just 7 days before it would have been too late. I remember the day like a photograph dipped in oil. Fuzzy at the edges. Sharp where it hurts. It was late August. The air still heavy with summer. The kind of heat that makes secrets sweat through wallpaper. I was cleaning out the coat closet near the front door, searching for an old canvas bag I thought I might use for work. I wasn't supposed to find anything, but I did. An envelope. Slightly bent. Wedged behind the heater vent. Addressed to me. I recognized the school logo before I even pulled it out. Black and gold crest. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. My first choice. My impossible dream. My secret prayer. My hands started shaking before I opened it. For a moment, I thought it was a prank. Some kind of cruel, old rejection letter someone forgot to throw away. But it wasn't. Congratulations. That word didn't whisper. It screamed. It screamed so loudly, I thought the walls would echo it back to me. Dear Erin Carter, we are pleased to inform you. I didn't read the rest. My knees gave out. I slid down against the wall, envelope still in hand, heart pounding in my ears like a war drum. I had been accepted. I had been accepted. I had been accepted. I had been accepted. And no one told me.
How? Why? Who?
I didn't have the answers then. All I had was the letter and the rising tide of questions crashing against my chest. I wanted to scream, but all I did was sit there, still, frozen. Like if I moved, the letter would disappear. Like if I blinked, it would turn into dust. And all I could think was, how many days had I lost? I glanced at the date on the letter. It had been sent over 5 weeks ago. Orientation was in 6 days. Classes began in 7. 7 days. 7 days away from starting the life I thought I had lost. 7 days from walking into a campus I dreamed of since sophomore year. 7 days away from rewriting the narrative someone else tried to control. But also, 7 days from being too late. The air inside the house felt thick, like betrayal had its own temperature. Someone knew. Someone took it. Someone decided for me. And they almost succeeded. But not quite. Because secrets have weight. And lies have a shelf life. And the truth? The truth always wants to be found. I was supposed to be the golden one. Not the prettiest, not the loudest, not the one who turned heads when she walked into a room. But the one with the grades, the discipline, the plan, the one who read books during lunch, the one who color-coded her life with highlighters, the one who always had a backup. And a backup for her backup. Since I was 12, I had one goal, college. Not just any college, UNC Chapel Hill. Everyone knew. I had their brochures pinned to my bedroom wall, tucked into my notebooks, saved as my phone wallpaper. I didn't go to parties. I didn't date. I didn't give my parents reasons to worry. I was the checklist child, every box ticked perfectly. Advanced placement, volunteer hours, SAT prep classes, summer internships. I followed the script perfectly. And for a while, I believed that if I did everything right, the world would do right by me. But then nothing happened. No email. No phone call. No thick envelope. When the others started getting their acceptance letters, I smiled for them. Clapped when they opened theirs in the hallway. But inside, I was sinking. I checked my inbox obsessively, refreshed the college portal 100 times. Nothing. Days turned to weeks. The silence was like static in my skull. And slowly, I started disappearing from conversations. From plans. From expectations. From belief. I remember the day my mother stopped bringing up college altogether. She didn't say why. She just started asking me to do more chores. My dad? He didn't say much either. But one night at dinner, when I asked if I could still apply somewhere else, he just sighed. "You should take a gap year," he said, chewing slowly. "It might be for the best."
For the best.
As if failure had knocked on the door, and he'd already invited it to stay. No one screamed. No one cried. There was no explosion. Just quiet resignation. Like they'd been expecting it all along. And maybe they had. "She's just taking a break," I overheard my aunt say on the phone. "She's figuring things out," my mom added softly, not knowing I could hear from the stairs. "We don't talk about that anymore," my brother muttered to a friend when asked what happened with college. I wanted to disappear. Or shout. Or disappear while shouting. But I didn't. I nodded. I smiled. I said, "Yeah, maybe a gap year is good." Inside, I was hollow. I started working at a small bakery on the edge of town. Minimum wage, early mornings. No one from high school came in. That made it bearable. I stopped opening emails. I avoided anyone who knew me before. People stopped asking what I was doing next. Because to them, this was my next. The girl who was supposed to go places was now icing cupcakes and sweeping flour off tile floors. At night, I'd sit on the roof and stare up at the stars. I'd wonder what it would have felt like to be packing bags, meeting a roommate, picking courses. I'd created this entire version of my life, and it vanished. And the worst part? No one missed it but me. They were relieved. No tuition fees. No long-distance worries. No risk of failure. It's strange, the way people pretend something never happened if it makes things easier for them. I started journaling again during those nights.
Quietly.
Nothing dramatic. Just little lines to remind myself I still existed. Lines like, "I am not my rejections. I am still meant to become something." They may have stopped seeing me, but I haven't disappeared. I didn't know it yet, but those sentences were the start of a new foundation. One that no one else could write over. Still, it felt like a secret. A life paused. Like I was stuck behind glass, watching everyone else move forward. And all the while, they thought I'd quit. But what they didn't know was that I was about to begin again. It started with Mrs. Langley. She was 83, sharp as a needle but frustrated with the world's obsession with passwords, buttons, and blinking lights. Her son, Derek, came into the bakery every Tuesday, blue scrubs, tired eyes, always kind. One day, he lingered after ordering. "You good with phones?" he asked, pointing to the cracked device in his pocket. "My mom's driving me nuts. She keeps resetting the TV remote with her elbow, and now she thinks she's broken the internet." I laughed. "I can take a look." No promises. That Saturday, I found myself sitting on a floral couch with crochet armrest covers, surrounded by framed photographs of people I didn't know. Mrs. Langley was sitting across from me, arms crossed, suspicious. "This machine hates me," she muttered, glaring at the tablet on the coffee table. "It doesn't hate you," I said gently, picking it up. "It just needs someone to explain it better." She raised an eyebrow. "You volunteering as a translator?" I smiled. "Only if there's tea involved." She snorted. "Smart girl." That afternoon, we fixed the remote. Then I helped her set up video calls with Derek, who worked nights and couldn't visit as often as he liked. The first time she saw him on the screen, live, waving from his break room, she whispered, "You brought my baby into my living room." That did something to me. A tiny click, like a door unlocking inside my chest. It didn't feel like much. Just a moment. But sometimes that's all it takes. I started visiting once a week. Then other neighbors started calling. Can you help my dad send an email? My mom's trying to use this medical portal. My uncle needs to order his prescriptions but keeps ending up on TikTok.
So I did. Not because I had a plan.
Not because I saw a business, but because it felt good to be useful again.
To be trusted.
To make something clearer for someone else. It wasn't college. It wasn't dorm rooms or lectures or late-night study groups. It was living rooms and secondhand recliners and cookie tins filled with coins. I taught Mrs. Langley how to bookmark her favorite recipe site. I showed Mr. Rhodes how to FaceTime his granddaughter, who lived in Oregon. I helped Miss Connie order her diabetes test strips online instead of waiting on hold with customer service for an hour. They started calling me the tech girl. They offered payment in pies, jams, and hand-knitted scarves. At first, I felt silly, like I was pretending to be someone useful. But week by week, it started to feel real. I built simple guides, printed instructions in big font. I created email templates, set up reminders. Sometimes I just sat and listened, because a lot of them weren't just confused, they were lonely. This wasn't about screens. This was about connection, about independence, about dignity. One Sunday, I helped Mrs. Langley find a radio station she used to love in the 70s. When it came on, her hands trembled. "My husband," she whispered. "He used to play this every morning. I haven't heard it in years." She closed her eyes. For a moment, I swear she was 17 again. That moment didn't make headlines. There were no trophies, no applause, but it mattered.
God, it mattered.
And for the first time in months, so did I. I called it Silvernet. It started as a name scribbled on the back of a coffee receipt. Just 2 words, and a dream too small to say out loud. But the need was real and growing. So, I built a basic website with a free template. Nothing fancy. Just clean buttons, simple text, a cheerful slogan. Bridging generations, one click at a time. I listed the services I was already offering. Help with emails. Setting up video calls. Teaching smartphone basics. Online medical portals. Device troubleshooting. At first, it was just me, my bicycle, and a tin box with printed flyers. I dropped them off at churches, clinics, grocery stores. No one responded for the first 3 days. Then came the call from St. Matthew's Retirement Center. "Hi, we saw your flyer. We've got a weekly tech hour, but our volunteer moved away. Think you could come in on Thursdays?" That one yes changed everything. By the end of that month, I had 7 appointments a week. By the next, I had to quit the bakery. By month 3, I needed help. So, I trained 2 friends, Maya and Danielle. We built custom guides together. We used color-coded folders. We even ran a free weekend class for veterans. Word traveled slowly but surely. We were onboarding over 1,200 seniors per month by summer. Our newsletter had a 78% open rate, higher than some Fortune 500 companies. We added features, digital safety workshops, memory photo backups, tablet recommendations. Local papers started calling. Then came a small grant from the community council, enough to rent a tiny office space above a laundromat. We celebrated with store-brand soda and microwave popcorn. But I was happy. Not Instagram happy. Not influencer happy. Real happy. The kind that sits quietly in your chest and doesn't need to post about itself. And still, my family said nothing. When my brother visited, he saw my workstation cluttered with appointment books and client notes. "That your little phone help thing?" he asked, raising a brow. "Yeah," I smiled. "It's growing." He shrugged. "Teaching old folks to click buttons? Real noble work." No sarcasm. No anger. Just casual dismissal. My mom never asked about Silvernet. She still introduced me to her friends as Erin. She's figuring things out right now. At Thanksgiving, I tried to show my dad our new training video. He watched 10 seconds, then reached for the mashed potatoes. "I've never been into tech," he muttered. "Hurts my eyes." It didn't matter that I'd built something from nothing. that I was restoring connections for people on the edges of the digital world. To them, it wasn't real, because there was no degree, no framed diploma, no official seal of approval. Just me. And that wasn't enough. They loved me. I knew that. But they didn't see me. Not the new me. Not the girl who rose from silence and built a bridge across generations. To them, I was still the girl who missed her shot. Still the one who almost made it. So I stopped bringing it up. I focused on the work, on the people who did see. Like Mr. Hong, who cried the first time he emailed a birthday video to his grandson in Vietnam. Or Ms. Grace, who printed out our monthly tip sheets and taped them to her fridge like holy scripture. Or Harold, who texted us after every workshop with, "This is the first time I feel like I'm not being left behind." These people didn't care about college rankings, or GPAs, or LinkedIn bios. They cared that they could speak to their families again, that they could read lab results without calling a nurse, that anyone was patient enough to sit with them and say, "You're not stupid. You're just learning something new."
They didn't need me to have a degree.
They needed me to believe they still mattered. And I did. Every appointment, every guide, every class, I poured my soul into Silvernet. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because I knew deep down that this was real. Even if my family still couldn't see it, even if they only saw the ashes of the dream I didn't live, they missed the fire I'd lit in its place. It happened on a Thursday. I was giving a talk at the community library, one of our newer workshops about digital fraud prevention for older adults. We had about 30 people packed into the room. Folding chairs, styrofoam cups with weak coffee, a warm buzz in the air. I wore my usual jeans, sneakers, a blue Silvernet t-shirt that had started to fade at the collar. Nothing flashy, nothing that screamed success story. I was just Erin, the girl who showed people how to reset passwords and dodge scam emails. After the session ended, I stayed behind to help a few folks who brought in their phones. That's when I saw her. She stood off to the side, watching, clutching a floral tote bag like it was armor. Maybe mid-40s. Warm brown eyes. Nervous fingers. She waited until the crowd thinned out. Then she stepped forward.
"Hi," she said.
Her voice was soft, but certain. "I just wanted to thank you." I blinked. "Of course. Did I help you today?" She smiled, shy then bolder.
"No."
"You helped my future mother-in-law. A few months ago." She reached into her tote and pulled out a printed sheet of paper. It was one of my old PDF guides, Zoom Basics for Beginners. I recognized the purple headings, the clip art, the step-by-step layout. "She's never used a computer before," the woman said. "Couldn't even open her phone without panic. But someone named Erin spent time with her, walked her through everything, didn't rush, didn't judge." I froze. Mrs. Langley. She was able to video call my fiancé, the first time in years. She even joined our engagement dinner virtually. She wore pearls, she laughed softly, said it was her way of attending. I smiled. "She's incredible." The woman nodded, then paused. She told me it was part of a program. Silver something? "Silvernet," I said gently. Her eyes widened. "Yes, that's it." She looked me up and down. "Wait, are you the founder?" I hesitated. I always did. "Yes," I said. Her hand flew to her chest. "Oh my God." She reached for a chair and sat down slowly. I thought this was a big company. The way she talked about it, the professionalism, the detail. "You mean you built all this?" I nodded again. "With a little help, but yeah, from scratch." She was silent for a long beat. Then she whispered, "You changed our family." I looked at her, really looked. She wasn't here as a potential client. She came because something I made mattered. "I don't even know how to explain it," she said. "My fiancé cried the first time he saw his mom laughing over a screen. It gave them back years they thought they'd lost. It gave me a future mother I thought I'd never meet." I didn't know what to say. No one had ever told me this. Not like this. She reached across the table and took my hand. Not because you were trying to prove anything. Not because you were chasing glory. But because you saw someone others ignored, and you didn't look away. Her eyes welled up. I just wanted you to know that what you're doing, who you are, is already enough. For a moment, the library disappeared. There were no chairs, no people, no tote bag. Just her words echoing through me like thunder in a hollow cave. I had been waiting for anyone to see me, to look past the lack of a degree, the lost scholarship, the unopened acceptance letter buried in a drawer,
and say,
This is real. This is worthy. And now, here it was. Not from a professor. Not from my mom. Not from anyone who knew the Aaron who was supposed to be something else. But from a stranger. Someone who only knew the version of me I'd become. She stood to leave, then paused. Do you ever speak at universities? I work in community outreach for Dayton U. I think students could learn a lot from you. I smiled.
No.
But I'd be honored. She nodded. Then, just before walking away, she turned and said, I hope you know this already, but you're not invisible. And just like that, she was gone. But her words stayed, like a light left on in a dark room. That night, I sat in my little apartment. No music, no TV, just the quiet hum of everything I had built. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I needed to prove myself anymore. I had nothing to defend, because the truth had walked in by itself, and refused to stay quiet. I never told my parents about the library talk. I didn't tell them about the woman who thanked me, either. I let that moment stay mine. Not out of spite. Not because I didn't want them to know. But because, for the first time, I didn't need them to know. Something had shifted in me. Quietly. Like a season changing. I went home that weekend. My mom was in the kitchen when I walked in. She glanced up from the stove, gave me the usual half-hug. How's your thing? She asked. I knew what she meant. Good, I said. That was all. That's all I gave her. She didn't ask for more. But that night, as I was folding my laundry in the guest room, I noticed something tucked into the pile. A small envelope. Inside, a folded note. My mom's handwriting. I saw a woman at church mention your flyer. Said you helped her husband use FaceTime before he passed. She was smiling while she said it. I didn't know you were doing all that. I'm proud of you, Mom. No apology. No explanation. Just a quiet sentence scribbled in blue ink. I didn't frame the note. I didn't post about it. I just kept it. Folded. Soft. Hidden in the side pocket of my backpack. 2 weeks later, my brother sent me a text.
Hey.
That old guy you helped, Mr. Barkley?
He told his neighbor about you.
Now she wants to hire your service for her whole senior center. Just thought you'd want to know. P.S. That's pretty cool. No heart emoji. No over-the-top compliment. But it was something. And that was enough. I wasn't chasing applause anymore. I didn't need the loud clap of validation to know I was on the right path. I'd stopped measuring success by volume and spotlight. Instead, I measured it by small things. The way Miss Grace waved every time she passed my office window. The little sticky notes clients left on our front door. You make tech less scary. The warmth in a stranger's eyes when they realized they weren't too old to learn something new. Those were my trophies. And they didn't gather dust. Sometimes I thought about that letter. The one I found in the drawer, the college acceptance that was hidden from me. There was a time when I would have clung to it. Used it as proof that I was meant for more. That I could have been someone great. Now it felt irrelevant. Because I was someone. Not because of a campus. Not because of a classroom. But because I stayed. When it got hard. When no one clapped. When the world looked away. I stayed. I rebuilt with what I had. With broken confidence, leftover hours, and borrowed strength. And somehow it became enough. Not pride.
Peace.
The kind of peace that doesn't scream. It just rests quietly, deep in your chest. Like the soft hum of a screen finally connected. Like a voice you hadn't heard in years, suddenly crystal clear. If you've ever felt unseen, if you've ever done something good and heard nothing in return, if you've ever wondered whether your path, no matter how small, mattered at all, then this story is for you. Not because I want applause. Not because I need strangers to know my name. But because maybe, like me, you were building something in the quiet and started to wonder if it would ever echo back. I know what it feels like to be erased from your own story. To have someone decide what page you're allowed to start on. To wake up every morning knowing that your success would be called a fluke and your failure inevitable. I know what it feels like to dream in silence. And I know what it's like when the world doesn't clap for you. When your family says things like, "She's doing something with computers, I think." Or worse, says nothing at all. But here's what I need you to hear. You are not invisible. What you're doing right now, quietly, consistently, matters. It may not trend. It may not impress your relatives at Thanksgiving. It may not come with a title, a trophy, or a moment in the spotlight. But it's changing lives. Maybe just one. Maybe your own. But that's enough. And if you're listening to this, if you stayed with me through all these words, then maybe you're the kind of person who cares about the quiet wins, the slow blooms, the second chances, the tiny ripples that turn into waves when no one's watching. Where are you listening from?
Tell me. Tell us.
This space, this channel, is for people like you. People who don't need permission to matter. People whose stories don't begin with privilege, but with persistence. Drop a comment. Share your truth. Even if it's still messy, still in motion. Someone out there needs to hear that they're not alone. You've made it this far. So I'll leave you with this. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not less. You're just on a path no one else has walked before. And that's a kind of genius all its own. Thank you for being here. For letting me tell you mine. Stick around. We're just getting started.